Hello, here we are on another video for my Playful Magic tips, and this is to help you to be more playful with your manifestation and your creation of your beautiful life. One of the things that I talked about a bit in the journaling section and also in the improv video was about using imagination and really letting it work for you. So you can use it as part of your journaling, and you can use it while doing improv, imagining different scenes and characters and then bring them to life. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit, as well as multi-sensory ways to manifest. So there's a lot of talk out there about manifestation, about visualizing. Some people can visualize really well and other people can't. And I find it quite difficult actually to visualize like the details and the specifics of what I want. But the way that my imagination works for me is that I get visions of what I want or things that might come through to me, or if I imagine something, I can see the kind of it's almost like I see the essence of it rather than the specific details. And this is because there are different types of manifestors. And I didn't realize this until I did some work with a manifestation coach a few years ago. And so many people tell you to focus on exactly the details, when it's going to be, where it's going to be, what you can see, what you can feel, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can touch, like the absolute minute details. And I really don't have that so much. But what I can do is I can visualize and almost imagine the scene as a whole. So I'm more a big picture person. I can imagine the scene as a whole, and it's more about the sensory things for me. So I've been practicing doing this week and just going, okay, if I take away the details and go more into the big picture, the actual end scene and how I might feel, because it's all about feelings at the end of the day as well. If you get tied up with exactly what you might see or hear or taste or touch or might be around you at the time, that can sometimes feel constricting. So you might be a type of non-specific process manifestor rather than a specific goal manifestor. And the difference is, do you like creating all those details? Do you see them and feel them and just go, yes, I want to imagine this level of detail? And other people like myself who are more about the process and more about the non-specifics are, I know that this is the kind of thing I want, the kind of relationship I want, the kind of home I want. And something that really landed for me the other week is I'm now working with a new mentor around sort of magic and manifesting in the Delulu land. And I was walking around where I live, Bristol, and it's beautiful. A couple of weeks ago, all the wisteria were out, and I looked at this beautiful, beautiful house with the wisteria over the door, and my body just went, I just want that for myself. Like, I want not that particular house, but I want a beautiful home with a lovely front door, and I'd love a wisteria. Now, if I tried to think what would I want in my beautiful house, I wouldn't necessarily think of I want a wisteria. But then I got into going, oh yeah, and a magnolia, and I love a clematis, and so that particular, it was the feeling of seeing it actually in the world that made me realize that that was something that I wanted. And the last couple of days, I've been watching some property programs on TV just to see people going through the process of choosing a house or buying a house and what they would like, and going, oh, that's something I would like, or oh gosh, I wouldn't want that at all. Like these big modern ones that are all open plan and all look the same with a big kitchen island and a big family. No, thank you, not for me. But it's really good to get clear kind of the the essence of what you want might be the most important thing, and then just letting it unfold. So that's something about using my imagination in manifesting, but using it in a way that works for me. So I would say to you, do you like putting end goals on? Have some idea of when you'd like this to happen, but don't be attached to it. Every time I set a goal in a time, like I trained as a coach a long time ago, and it was very masculine model, what do you want, when do you want it, the SMART goal thing. And I'm like, a lot of the time they move me forward, but out of a sense of urgency or out of a sense of kind of lack, rather than going, oh yeah, this is the sort of life I want to create. This is the sort of picture of my life that I want to be in, this sort of relationship that I'm bringing into my life. And how can I feel that now? How can I have those sort of relationships now, even without the specific partner or the specific friends, or kind of making it real in the moment rather than fixating on this end goal. And I have friends and some of my family who love setting a goal and working towards it in that very masculine structured way. I'm not so much like that. I like to free flow through life, but also we have to have some kind of direction that we're going in. And I'll talk about intentions in the next video, I think, is the topic. There's another thing that I like to use for myself, and I have something called synaesthesia, which is one of the reasons I love color so much, is because my brain has senses that are, well, the way it's explained is that two or more senses are connected. So I can think of a word or a number, or somebody can say something to me and it appears in my imagination in a particular color or multicolors. But I've been recently helping with some research with PhD students at the University of Bristol, and really looking at my synaesthesia. And what I've realized is it's kind of a multisensory, multidimensional sort of phenomenon where a lot of us are like, oh, it's actually not just about in my mind's eye, I can kind of see this number, like the number 7 is yellow for me. And it's not that I just see that, it's like I know it in my body. And then there's words like creativity that are sort of shimmery, iridescent, multicolored words. And they have an energy to them. So it's about energy, and they also stimulate a feeling. So it's not just, the sensations don't just happen in my brain, but they happen through my body as well. So this is really good to know, is like the level of which, if you're imagining things, or if you're using your imagination, or you're visualizing, is it very much like a clear picture in your head, or is it something that you feel very much more in your body? And this is just part of getting to know yourself. And I think it's really fascinating, because a lot of the time our imagination, it's like, it's something that happens in our brain. The more you read about consciousness and higher intelligence, it's like our imagination is part of picking up from the collective consciousness, and our imagination is just enormous. You know, if you think like slightly different thing, but when you dream, you know, you can have a whole adventure in this massive landscape of wonderment. But apparently it happens in our heads. But we can create these amazing, I mean, if you're anything like me, vivid adventures overnight that you have, and you come in back to sort of waking up and like, whoa, okay, I'm not sure how much rest my brain actually gets overnight, or whether it's just going on crazy adventures. But it's really fun to play with this. So how do you visualize? How do you imagine? How can you use your imagination in a way that really works for you? Maybe being more general, maybe being more bigger picture, maybe just letting go of some of the specifics would really, really work for you. Maybe if you've got a type of synesthesia or your other neurodivergent ways of your brain being wired, use those to help you, rather than going, I can't do that because. And so I realized at one point that I can see, I do maths and spelling in multicolor 3D in my head. If I'm doing improv, which I talked about in another of these videos, you know, it's more like when I'm a character, I almost like see the scenario or feel the scenario around me, which makes it much easier for me to be in that scene, because in my body and in my energy field, the scene is real, even though there's no scenery and no costume. So that's really interesting. So the more I get to know myself, the more I can feel how these things work for me. And all this is not about do it like me. It's like, how does this work for you? How do you can use your imagination, your visualization? I also shared this in the journaling video as well, you know, the fact that I love these intuitive collages. They're full of energy and color and wisdom. And that's sort of, you know, that's partly synesthesia, it's partly creativity, it's partly intuition. And I do a lot of these now. So it's almost like a process. I haven't invented the process, but it's a process that I found works really well for me as being something mindful and pleasurable, and it activates my synesthesia, it activates my love of color, it activates my love of words, it activates my intuition and allows me to put things together in a way that works for me. So follow what works for you. Follow some of the things that you might not have heard from anyone else, but you go, oh, this feels like something that I want to try. I want to do it like this. I've listened to these different people, maybe online, or you've had coaches or mentors that have got specific ways of teaching things. You go, it really doesn't work for me. And I'm feeling like this would work much better for me. And just follow your own guidance. That's really important. So that's my tip for today. Using your imagination, using any kind of neurodivergent wiring that you've got. Mine is synesthesia. You may well have something different, but utilize it in a way that works for you, and adapt what you're learning and what you're being taught to really fit what you want to create in your life, what you want to manifest, and how it would really work for you to get there in a more playful way, in a more magical way, in a more creative way. And the next video, we're going to talk about intentions. So I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.